What is going on, YouTube? This is DBZ49 coming at you with a very interesting deck profile, and that is my first place locals Plunder Patroll deck profile. I'm very excited to showcase you this deck. I really think this deck is very fun. It's definitely considered a rogue deck, and it's kind of hard to play, not gonna lie, but once you start playing with the deck, you get used to it, and I'll explain in details, the combos and stuff like that. Before I continue with the video, I just wanted to say my matchups real quick. So, first of all, it was a 30 people plus locals, and it was very competitive. I saw many decks, including like Prank Kids, Dragon Links, Invoke Shaddolls, and all that good stuff. And there is also an interesting mix of rogue decks, such as Plunder Patrols. My first round, I did play Relinquish Dragoon. That was an interesting matchup, but I clapped that deck. Then for the next round, I played against Fluffles. In my opinion, I played against like the best variant of Fluffles. Like he had the Tactics, Dragoons, and Droplets and stuff, so it was pretty hard, but we got the dub. Third round, I did play against Eldritch Orchist. And finally, I played against Invoke Shaddolls in my final round of locals. I went 4-0. And yeah, this is a blind second Plunder Patrol build, and I'll explain why. But I will as I go through the deck profile. But starting off, we do play triple Whitebeard. This is obviously your best card. So pretty much what this card does, right, is during your opponent's turn, it's a quick effect. I can make this an equip card to special summon any Plunder Patrol from my extra deck, depending on the attributes that your opponent controls or in their graveyard. And so the idea behind Plunder Patrol is that you quote-unquote cheat out to summon your Plunder monsters from your extra deck and use their effects to snowball out of control and just outright win the duel. So this deck is very fair, and like it's not like I know the new support's coming out with Ravenwing, and I'll explain what cards I'll be cutting and what edits I'll make to the deck when that comes out. But I'll get back to his second effect in a bit. But the reason why I did play a blind second variant for a couple of things. One, this deck loses to a lot of things. Blowout cards such as like Evenly, Lightning Storm, Harpies for the Duster, Dark Rule No More. This deck, like, it needs its engine to start, and like in Yu-Gi-Oh, like it's really hard to snowball, especially in this kind of format that we're in, like where there's multiple negations and disruptions. Like it's really hard to like get your plays going, but when you do with this deck, like it's over. Another thing is like for the deck to snowball, like you need to have Plunder cards in your hand whilst establishing board at the same time, and that's kind of hard to do. So like going second gives you the extra draw, and also when you go second, your opponent does have attributes on their side of the field, so you can kind of play and like kind of break their board. And so that's why I decided to play going second. People could disagree with it, that's fine. But when I do get Ravenwing, I do plan to play going first variant with it, and I'll explain what I'll be cutting. But the second effect of this card is what makes this card nice, is that when this card leaves the monster zone or from the hand to the graveyard, you get to special summon a Plunder Patrol from your deck. And if you do, you're locked into Plunder Patrols for the rest of the turn. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, moving forward, we do play the triple Redbeard. And Redbeard does the same exact thing as Whitebeard, to where during your opponent's turn, you can tag out to summon a Plunder from your extra deck and attach it to it. And when this card gets sent from the monster zone to hand to the graveyard, you get to attach it to a Plunder card. So that's really good because you can use your field spell card, like Shipyarrrd, in your graveyard to bounce this card from your spell trap zone to your hand and like use it again, whether if you needed to discard it with your extra deck monsters, or for every spell or trap Plunder Patrol card you control while the field spell is face up, they all gain 500 attack for each one. So your Plunder monsters can get really beefy, and when they get attached to a ship from the extra deck, their effects become quick effects, so that's very important. Moving on, we do play triple Goldenhair. So Goldenhair is a good starter card, so pretty much it has two effects. So the first one is I can send one other Plunder Patrol monster card from my hand or face up in the field to special summon this card from your hand. I rarely use that effect. It does come up sometimes, but the main one is if this card's in your graveyard, you can discard a card to special summon this card, and if you do, you're locked into Plunder Patrol. and it's a tuner as well. So essentially, it facilitates your plays. And if you need a plunder from your graveyard, you can always have this card. And it's a tuner. So yeah, nothing much more to say. Next, we do play Bluebeard. So if you do control a Plunder Patrol monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card leaves the field or from the hand to the grave, you can discard a card to draw a card. So that comes up sometimes. So it's essentially just an extender. Now for the hand traps, we do play Triple Ash Blossom. Probably one of the best hand traps of all time. Next, we do play Triple Nibiru. Now, this card it's an interesting card in this deck in particular because this deck kind of has a hard time getting over Nibiru. But I think it's just so impactful that you have to play it. And there are ways to get rid of it, but I'll get to that in a sec. So next, we do play a sub-package of a Kaiju package. So I play a Dark, Water, and Light. So those are the kind of the main ones. There's also Fire, but Fire's like not as relevant, but I could easily cut the Gameciel for a Fire one if I wanted to. So yeah, just the different attributes. Another funny thing that people have to remember is that this card's 3,300 attack. So like if you do Slumber and they don't negate it with Dragoons, you can just summon this card and just run over Dragoons. So that's the reason why we do play this one in particular. And these cards also get rid of problematic cards such as Winda, and Dragoon. Dragoon is like really hard for this deck to get over. So that's why I did play the Kaiju package. Next, I do play the 1 Alpha and the 1 Pankratops. So the Alpha is really good in this deck in particular because I do play the Kaiju package. Because I can just bounce the Kaijus and just summon this card back to swing. And then Pankratops just exerts a lot of pressure while it's on the field and can get rid of problematic cards. Moving on, we do play for our spell lineup, we do play the Shipyarrrd. So pretty much Shipyarrrd, it has 3 effects, essentially. So the first one is I can discard a card to search a Plunder card. The second effect is for every spell or trap face-up card you have that is a Plunder Patrol, all Plunder Patrol monsters gain 500 attack for each one. And then if this card's in your graveyard, I can bounce a face-up spell or trap, a Plunder Patrol card, and then I can set this card from the graveyard to my side of the field. So this card is really good for the deck. Like, it gives the boost, it can recur itself, and it can search whatever you need. So pretty busted field spell. Next, we do play Triple Desires. We play 3 of them mostly, and so you don't really feel it. But the only thing this card really conflicts with is the Kaiju package. Like, if I banish my Slumbers or something, it may mess up the ratio since I do play a sub-package, not like a entire package of Kaijus. Next, we do play Double Emblem. So I was on the fence playing between 3 or 2, and I decided that 2 was good, just because like this is a blind second deck, so I kind of wanted to put a lot of going second cards in it. This card, you can equip it to a Plunder card, and you can send this card to the graveyard to special summon a Plunder card from your extra deck based on the attributes you control in your graveyard, and if you do that, monster gains 500 attack. And while it's attached, it can't be targeted by card effects. So what this card does is like it's a starter card. It gets your monsters beefy. It can't be targeted, so like sometimes it helps you get over Dragoons or something like that. So yeah, it's a pretty good card. Next, we do play Double Slumber. Slumber's nice. You know, get rid of boards and then put the Kaiju, depending on the attributes that you need, on your opponent's side of the field. And yeah, then you can just search a Kaiju monster afterwards. So I mean, it's pretty nice. Next, we do play Double Super Poly. So I'll get to Super Poly like more in details when I get to my extra deck. But essentially, like, Dragoons is such a problem for this deck and like other cards like Winda and stuff. Like, I decided to play the Super Poly. It's pretty good because we do have like the extra deck space for it. So like kind of like why not? But I also was playtesting Valor and then using like a Selene access code package too. But I decided to opt in for the Super Poly. Next, we do play one shipping. So some people play more copies of this, and I may have to play another copy of this. This card is actually kind of nuts. Like the first effect is a little underrated. It's essentially a polymerization for the deck, and some people didn't know. Like, that was another thing about this deck is nobody knows what this deck does and what the weak points are, and so they just preemptively negate stuff that doesn't really matter, and you just further along your plays. And so this is an example of that. So this card's a polymerization. Then when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to attach a Plunder card from your deck to any Plunder monster you control. So that's pretty good. So I might up this card to 2. And then, yeah, we do play 1 Terraforming to search out your field spell. And then we play triple Booty. So this is actually, like, my favorite card in the deck. This card's actually insane. It's like, so what it does is you can target 1 card your opponent controls and change its attribute. And if you do, you can special summon a Plunder card from your graveyard or return it to your deck. And so, like, this literally gets what you need. Like what attribute you need, and then you get to special summon, like you say, a Whitebeard or a Redbeard, and those cards can use their effects to like summon, you know, the big ships and stuff. And so, so this is recurring, so you can keep doing this like every turn, right? So during your opponent's turn, during my turn. But the only downside of this card is like if you don't control any Plunder cards, Plunder monsters, by the end of the turn, you have to send us to the graveyard. But yeah, that is it for the main deck. It's a 40 card deck. For the Raven Wings, what I essentially would do is like essentially cut out all of the going second cards and input the Raven Wings and Gammas. Also, I would take out like Super Poly and put in like maybe Tactics and Droplets. Those cards are really good for the deck, like getting the draws and stuff like that, and make it a going first variant. But for my side deck real quickly, for the event I did play 3 Lancia. This card's really nuts for Dinos and Invoke Shaddolls. This really came up for that. 3 triple Cosmic Cyclone. My locals, they do play a lot of Mystic Mine and stuff, so that's why I have these. These cards are pretty good right now. Triple Dark Blue No More to stop big nasty boards. Triple Evenly Matched, essentially do the same thing to where you can get rid of an entire board if they don't have the response to it. And against like Rogue and stuff, it's really good. And then finally we do play triple summon limit. So if we want to go first, or if someone makes us go first, we do have the summon limit. This card's actually really good in this deck because you can easily play under 2 summons. And yeah, that's it for the side deck. And moving on to the extra deck, we do play triple Blackbeard. So Blackbeard, what it does is it's a quick effect. You can target 1 effect monster you control, special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck, and attach it attach this to the extra deck monster. And if you do, you draw a card, but it depends on the attribute your opponent controls or it's in their graveyard. And so essentially, getting that extra draw is critical for this deck, because if you don't have the plunder card in your hand to discard off your ships, then they're essentially useless. So we do play the 1 Almiraj for the Goldenhair. We do play a double Moerk. I might up this card to 3 because this card's insane. So essentially, I can discard a Plunder card to target 1 effect monster my opponent controls and banish it. Then I can add a Plunder Patrol, a spell trap card from my deck to my hand. This is a quick effect if a Plunder card is attached to it. And I can only use it once per turn. And if a Plunder Patrol card you control will be destroyed by a card effect, I can detach material. So sometimes you want to make this raw, like as in like overlay, to make this card to protect your stuff. And it can get rid of problematic cards. So a really good card. Next we do play the 1 Exciton Knight. This is such an underrated card. I didn't make it once in the tournament, but against some matchups, like they won't see it coming, and it can essentially like wipe a board. And yeah, it can be cut for some other stuff. Next I do play double what's this card's name? Brann. So pretty much it's the same thing as it's not the same thing. Well, essentially all other fiend monsters you control gain 500 attack, and then I can discard a Plunder card, target a spell trap my opponent controls, and banish it. And if I do, add a Plunder monster from my deck. And this is a quick effect if a Plunder is attached to it. So as you notice, like they become quick effects when they get attached by a Plunder Patrol card. And next we do play the 1 Dragite. It's a good going first card because, you can make it and stop a spell trap negate. That's really helpful for this deck because you don't really have any of those. And yeah, and also like you can use the bounce effect since you do play Nibiru, so that's pretty interesting. We do play the double List. List is actually really good. Essentially, it's a quick effect if it's attached to, or if Plunder's attached to it. I can negate a monster effect anywhere, and if I do destroy it, then search a Plunder card, and then during either player's turn during the main phase, I can special summon a Plunder from my spell trap zone or from my hand. So it's really good. And next for my Super Poly targets, I do play Starving Venom, Predator Plant, Dragite. And Mud Dragon, I feel like these are the best Super Poly targets right now. But I would cut these potentially for a Toad package. White Whale, potentially, you know, when I do make it a going first variant with Raven Wing and whatnot. And yeah, that is it for the deck profile, guys. If you really did enjoy that video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Please post below down the video a comment. If you want to discuss something, I'm always reading the comments, trying to help the Yu-Gi-Oh community as much as I can. And yeah, have a nice day.